Hello, my name is Andy O'Neill, and thanks for watching Weblytica TV. Today I'm joined by Steve Palmer. Steve is a member of the Knack team. Knack is a cloud-based, no-code platform that allows companies to build customized relational databases. Steve was the first hired employee at Knack back in 2014. His role at Knack mostly focuses on sales, including enterprise sales and partnerships. Steve works from Rock Candy, a co-working space that he owns in Lititz, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining me. So we're going to talk about Knack, but I want to start the conversation about the co-working space. Partially because I've thought, that was something that I might do someday. Excuse me, but I look at your website and the space is absolutely beautiful. So tell me the story about starting the co-working space and what it's like to work to run that business.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for the compliment. Really, Knack is an integral part of me actually opening Rock Candy. Being a remote company, I was working in the basement, spent a lot of time down there, and it just didn't feel right. So a lot of isolation, and I wanted to be around other humans. So great way to do that is a co-working space where you can get together with other people who are working remotely, or maybe a small business owner that just wants to work somewhere else other than the kitchen table. So I partnered up with somebody back in 2017, I believe, and we opened a space here at the campus of Rock Lititz, which is basically a hub for a lot of the live entertainment industry companies that kind of support tours for famous artists and so forth. So it's a campus really designed to support that industry, but sprinkled in the campus, they have a few of us public-facing businesses. So the co-working space is just a great way to stay involved with people and help others sort of get their businesses started. Often co-working spaces are a good place for people to kind of launch and have a low-cost barrier to getting their business off the ground. But it's a really great atmosphere for having sort of that water cooler conversation. So for me, it's really just been a much more productive situation. So rather than being in the basement by myself and being alone all the time, it's just great to be around others. And I think I'm the only one on the Knack team that does that, though. So out of 30 some people at Knack, 35 or so, I think I'm the only one that works at a co-working space. But for me, that's really what works.
That's cool. Were you able to keep it open during all the lockdown of the pandemic, or was it considered an essential business, or what did that kind of look like?
It definitely was not considered essential. So we did have periods where we weren't really allowed to come into the co-working space, just based on some of the Pennsylvania rules and so forth, which a lot of states had to endure, of course. So we did have a period of time where it wasn't anybody coming in here. But once they opened the doors again to businesses in Pennsylvania, we were able to kind of get ourselves reestablished again, and still slowly working back. I'd say it's kind of like a gym membership in that when people run up against financial decisions, they start to wonder what are the things they can cut out of the budget. So kind of like a gym, you can say, well, I'm not going anyway, so I may as well stop paying that each month. But I think you'll see a new wave of people using co-working spaces as well. Folks now are working from home that didn't traditionally work from home. So I do have a new wave of people interested as a result. They're at the kitchen table or in their basement and just not sure how to really build the most productive work environment for themselves. So a lot of folks are coming out and trying out the co-working space now as a result. And many find it a great opportunity. Others, it still doesn't quite fit for them, which is fine. That's kind of how it is. People need to find the best way to work. So but we're still working our way back, like a lot of businesses. It's been a little bit of a rough road for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Well, best of luck to you as you kind of recover from COVID stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's talk about Knack. So you've been at Knack almost 8 years now. Tell me about your story that led you to become the first employee of Knack.
Yeah, I was kind of doing the startup thing myself, and as hard as I tried, I was unsuccessful, my partner and I. So right around that time, I had been thinking about whether to close down the business, what I was going to do after that. It's probably time to find a job that actually pays me a paycheck versus, working for free, so to speak. I knew Eric, one of the co-founders, from a few years earlier when I was working with another business. So initially, the founders of Knack, Brendan and Eric, owned and operated a web design company and had built their own CMS. So we, in my former role at the former company, hired Eric and his team to build our new website. So that's kind of how I met Eric. And fast forward a few years of shutting down my startup, and Eric and I have maintained contact. So Knack just happened to be getting ready to bring on their first team member and thought it was just a good timing, good fit kind of situation. So that's how it started. It's been a fun ride since.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
It's been great to see the growth of the company and the trajectory we've followed over the years and all the cool stuff that people have done. So.
right. From 1 to, what did you just say, 35 or 38 people now?
Yeah, we're getting nearer to 40. So we always have a couple folks we're interviewing and getting through the door, so to speak. So I would suspect we'll be at 40 here before too long.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I know you've said this is not our first meeting that we've ever talked like this
Sure.
face to face. And in the past, you've said you've seen people use Knack in ways that like nobody imagined. It's like, holy cow, we didn't think people would do that with it. Do you have some kind of cool stories about how Knack users are using the platform in ways that kind of are unexpected or make you scratch your head a little bit?
Yeah. So now that the company is about 10 years old from when Brandon and Eric started it, obviously I've been here just about 8. Early on, you see a lot of smaller businesses trying to build some custom database solutions for themselves, back office tools, inventory tools, those types of things. Over the years, those companies have grown as they've explored the additional things that they can do with Knack. So not only do we have small companies at this point, but we also have some of the larger corporations, Fortune 100s and so forth. And in each scenario, everybody's building their own custom solution. And the reason they seek out a platform like Knack is they're just not finding something with a sort of off-the-shelf solution, if you will. So there's certainly many inventory softwares out there, but they have their own way of doing things, and you have to kind of find your way within their settings and tools and so forth. But there's so many custom situations in which people have to manage their inventory. And this is just one example, of course, of multiple types of use cases. But something like Knack lets people build the tool that's going to work for them without having a lot of extra stuff that you're ultimately just not going to use. But because Knack allows you to be customized in what you build, we've seen companies and corporations building these custom solutions that have well exceeded our expectations. So while you might start out with a small CRM just to track your leads and customers and things of that nature, that can turn into an ERP system, if you will, where you're also combining your product, manufacturing, your inventory, your marketing team, creating this intertwined set of data and functionality that really takes the customized solution to a new level. And some very unique use cases that I can share are, most recently, of course, we're seeing a lot of COVID-related applications, and each of them are very unique. So some are designed to allow people to onboard testing clients so that if people need to request or purchase testing, they can go through a portal and do that. Of course, most of them are using our HIPAA solution. But we've also had some using these in major cities around the world where people traveling into those particular areas have to log into an app when they arrive at an airport, for example. And at the airport, they have to check in, sign in, and follow some protocol to ensure that they're meeting the requirements for that particular country, whether it's taking a test on site or showing proof of vaccination, things of that nature. It's given people an opportunity to kind of really build these custom tools that meets very specific regulations in very specific areas. And some of these tools are onboarding thousands of people every day. So of course, we didn't anticipate a pandemic, but we also certainly didn't anticipate the number of people coming up with these very custom and unique solutions around COVID. So that's kind of one use case. We certainly see a lot of the ERP type solutions I was mentioning earlier. So a lot of companies will, usually starts with a department within a company. They find Knack, they build a solution specific to their department needs. And then eventually other folks from other departments are kind of seeing what someone's building or using, and it starts to grow within the organization. So you start to go from one small use case and build it into sort of this customized ERP type solution, which is pretty amazing. And the size of these applications and the level at which people can build functionality, there's kind of no limit, really. I mean, eventually you can hit a ceiling, I guess, with the ability of any sort of infrastructure to be able to handle some large complex scenarios, but we've just seen amazing success with so many customers building these types of things. One really unique example, this might be my favorite. There is a company out of the UK that has built a custom auto sales application in which each of the dealerships throughout the country will utilize a Knack application that's set up on an iPad. These are typically salespeople who will meet with folks who come in the door to look at vehicles and so forth. On the iPad, they can actually go into a Knack application. Now, this is highly customized, of course. This isn't going to be the type of thing you can just build right out of the box, but through APIs and JavaScript and CSS, you can really go to town. So you can actually build and customize a car with this application by changing the tires, changing the colors, specs on the car, right there in front of the customer on a Knack application. That to me is really the most unique situation. And of course, that ties into ordering and sales and marketing and things of that nature that are really tied into those customers coming into that particular dealership. But to this day, I think that has to be the most unique use case I've seen. It's quite amazing that you could do such a thing on our database platform, you know?
Yeah. That is a pretty cool app. Very, very specialized. And that's what Knack's really great at is, specializing in, you talked about logging into portals. I think something that Knack's been really great at. I've used Knack since 2013. From the beginning, having a self-serve portal that you can log into and interact with the database. I think COVID has just pushed that even further. Like everybody wants to, order their food and their groceries and everything, at home, online, and small businesses now have can have access to that kind of technology with Knack.
Yeah, well, and you're right on the money. I would say a lot of businesses, obviously through COVID, had kind of struggled. Others have excelled. At Knack, I don't think we went one way or the other too far, but what we did see is kind of to your point, we may have seen a drop off in smaller businesses that maybe needed to save some money, but we saw an increase in other businesses that needed to create ways for people to share information, collaborate. It's kind of a Zoom effect in a way. During COVID, Zoom kind of went off the charts. Well, people working from home and remote and all that kind of stuff created a situation where everybody was just really seeking different online tools. And the portal model, it's really, to me, I think in the 8 years I've been here, the portal model is really sort of the bread and butter for Knack, allowing user groups to log in and do different things based on their permissions and so forth. And that's what you're seeing with COVID apps. That's what you're seeing with even the ERP type solutions that we were discussing. Almost every case, it's a portal style situation that people are building. So we were definitely fortunate through that COVID situation to at least maintain our customer base and continue a little bit of growth through that period.
And I think that also kind of differentiates you with, kind of some pseudo competition, other no code databases. I mean, there's some really popular ones, but when it comes to creating a portal, a lot of them fall flat and just don't have, you're buying another solution to stack on top of it or something to get your portal. And so I think that, again, I think it's where Knack has always excelled when you compare it to other no code database builders.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree. I think that's been one of the keys that we find in talking to new customers it's just a really easy way to build those types of solutions. And, there's multiple competitors, of course, and everybody sort of has their thing, right? The thing that separates them from the others. I think for us, just the ease of building, the logins, permissions, things of that nature have been really key to making the portal style app and differentiating us on a large scale.
So you provide leadership at Knack for the Expert Network, which recently kind of got a relaunch. Talk about the Expert Network and how that supports Knack users, and maybe even, I think you just relaunched new forums as well. Maybe you could talk about those.
Yeah. So for many years, we had an internal builder network, as we called it at the time. So folks like yourself and other partners of Knack were part of our internal partner ecosystem. So as customers would have various requests to have integrations built, whether it's API or something like that, or custom code applied to create CSS, et cetera, Knack never really wanted to get too far into providing professional services, if you will. We've always wanted to really just keep our eye on the ball as far as the product goes and continuing to build features and things of that nature. So by having partners skilled in these areas, we actually have the opportunity to give our customers the ability to take their apps a little further, if you will, or for many of them, have someone to help build their app altogether. For a lot of people who explore Knack, it is very easy and they can sort of get their first iteration of the application built. But when they want to do some other things like connect with other services that require more robust integration than you might be able to get with a tool like Zapier or Integromat, a very custom kind of situation, then you need developers and experts who can kind of do that for you. So in a way, the partners have become a critical element to how we can service our customers. At the same time, it gives our partners new clients, new work, new projects, a steady pipeline, if you will, of opportunities to continue to scratch their itch, if you will, because everybody likes building and creating integrations and things like that. So I think for us, this new version of the Expert Network takes that sort of internal partner network and makes this a more public external expert network. So besides just building and doing integrations, we also have partners that are doing trainings and boot camps and video tutorials, conversations like we're having today to kind of show different use cases or different scenarios in which people have used Knack. But by having it public now, people can come to the website, look at the experts, the different types of skills they bring to the table, and feel confident that even if they get into Knack and try to build a particular solution, they're not going to get stuck. Of course, we offer support, but if they also need additional training or even additional integration work, then they definitely have the partners there that they can lean on to do that. So we've always wanted to build out that partner network even further than what we had over the years. So this to us, as far as the new expert network goes, is really kind of the first step. You mentioned the forum as well. So this kind of goes hand in hand. We relaunched our forum. As you know, over the years, it kind of became a little bit stagnant. I think this happens at a lot of companies, quite honestly. You have good intentions, but you get busy and you're trying to launch new things and do new stuff. You just kind of, you neglect it. So we wanted to kind of recommit. So at the same time of launching the Expert Network, we launched a new forum. So we're doing things in there like featuring different channels for APIs and customizations, but also some general questions. But we've also taken the opportunity to highlight the experts that are part of our Expert Network. So people in the forums can lean on their expertise as well as the Knack team to help answer questions, find resources, watch a video maybe, that kind of thing. So we're really trying to highlight our experts and really bring them to the forefront so that people know there's a lot of us out there that can help, whether it's Knack team members specifically or even the experts throughout the network. I think so far it's been going pretty good.
And you've got some experts that love to create training videos and that are posting it in the forums and sharing that information as well.
Yeah, and our internal feedback, and not sure how much we get this back to you guys, but the internal feedback is that the resources you all have been providing has been just phenomenal. It's a much better forum solution than what we were using before. So there's a lot more opportunity to leverage different tools and settings to really make that very robust. And yeah, we're pretty excited. I just feel like as long as we can stay on top of it and keep this momentum going, it'll be a great resource for several years to come here.
Yeah. So I've seen firsthand as a Knack user that Knack and the team at Knack has been pretty hard at work, especially during the past year or so with the new builder and some of the additional functionality that kind of accompanied the new builder.
Right.
Looking forward, can you share some of the upcoming features or changes that we might be able to anticipate coming down the road for Knack?
Yeah, and speaking of our forum, we've been trying to reveal some of those things that are in our pipeline through the forum to help get some feedback, get feature requests, try to learn more from partners and customers what kinds of things they would like to see. As you mentioned, over the last year or so, we just finished and launched our new version of our builder. So there were a few minor feature additions, but for the most part, that was just an overhaul of our old code structure. Which really is designed to allow us now at this point, since it's launched, to be able to iterate and move much more quickly on feature development and so forth. And I think over the last few months, we started to see more of those features begin to roll out. There's a lot of visual features we're working on at this time. So we've always done a lot of work in the builder itself and sort of the back end, if you will, but haven't traditionally focused too much yet on the live app experience. So the live app is what users will go to kind of utilize the solution. That's the visual element to the application. It's still a little bit sort of outdated, if you will. So we're now trying to put a lot of energy into updating that, providing more tools so that the builder can customize much more of the visual elements without having to actually apply CSS or custom code. I think you'll see a lot of folks that use the custom code in CSS. You kind of have to because you don't have much choice right now. So by doing this, and we can bake this into the platform, it reduces the amount of extra stuff you have to do in terms of making it become what you want it to be, but also gives us a lot more out of the box kind of stuff that makes it easier to kind of do that. So I think you'll be happy to see a lot of these visual improvements coming along here shortly. As well as some infrastructure stuff. So over the last few years, we've been exploring additional infrastructure improvements. So one thing we've experienced over the years as companies grew and continue to expand their applications is complexity levels can actually contribute to a little bit of latency in some of their applications. We identified some improvement areas and now have recently been working on fixing those areas. So here in the next, I'd say, month or two, we should be able to reveal more on that. But I think you'll see that we'll be making some announcements on the infrastructure improvements and hopefully create a much more speedy system for everybody.
Cool, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's been that one's been a long one.
Yeah,
some projects are quick, some are not so quick.
Some of these challenges are not easy to fix, and get pretty complex. And you start one place, and like you mentioned, people build complex apps and more customers and more complexity, and then you've got to figure out how to get support all that and make it all run.
Yeah, and these are things you learn. You just learn after years of having customers continue to use the system and grow your customer base. We're over 5,000 customers now. When I started, we had 100 or 200 maybe, yourself included, and you just don't think about this or anticipate how people are going to use the platform. So just by natural growth in some of these scenarios, you do see where they start to push boundaries, if you will, of some of the infrastructure capabilities. And I think a lot of software companies kind of go through these transformations at times. You start out with one plan and some issues are revealed, and now you got to kind of replan and shift gears a little bit, all for the purpose of improving things for customers and so forth. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a big job. Appreciate the work you guys do with that. Well,
Yeah.
Steve, thank you for joining me. I know you're a busy guy and appreciate your time. Is there anything, other thoughts or anything else you want to share before we wrap it up today?
Hey, your series has been great. We've been sharing that internally as well. So keep it up. It's great to hear perspectives, not only about Knack, but other folks using other platforms and the way they're using no code to develop solutions. So yeah, it's great to see these. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's been
Yeah,
fun to get to know people better and hear their stories. And these are not necessarily the conversations we normally have when we get on Zoom meetings.
yeah.
So it's kind of goes
That's right.
beyond the business stuff. So very cool. Well, thank you again,
Yeah,
and I appreciate your time.
yeah. You bet. Take care. Thanks.
Mhm.